Tan Sri Musa Aman claims trial to 35 graft charges. Sarawak to impose a 5% sales tax on petroleum products. You're watching the evening edition of News On 2. I'm Adrian Seat. Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad arrived in Tokyo, Japan for a packed 3-day working visit, his third trip to the country after taking office as Malaysia's 7th Prime Minister in May. Now, the highlight for his 3-day visit is the ceremony of imperial conferment of a decoration investiture, the Grand Cordon of the Order of the Paulinia Flowers by the Emperor of Japan on Tuesday at the Imperial Palace in Tokyo. The aircraft carrying Tun Dr. Mahathir touched down at Haneda International Airport at about 4 p.m. local time. Tun Dr. Mahathir is accompanied by his wife, Tun Dr. Siti Hasma Muhammad Ali. The conferment of Japan's highest award by Emperor Akihito follows the huge contributions by the Prime Minister in strengthening bilateral ties. Another highlight of the Premier's visit is his meeting with his Japanese counterpart, Shinzo Abe, at the Prime Minister's office, which will be held after the conferment. Tun Dr. Mahathir is also scheduled to attend the 36th Japan-Malaysia Economic Association, Malaysia-Japan Economic Association Joint Conference and Malaysia Business Forum. He will deliver his keynote address on the current situation in Malaysia and the expected investments from Japan to about 600 corporate figures and captains of industries. Former Sabah Chief Minister Tan Sri Musa Aman was detained by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission or MACC to face corruption charges. Now, the MACC said that the Commission had received the consent to charge Tan Sri Musa, who was detained at the Commission's headquarters in Putrajaya this morning from the Attorney General's chamber. Tan Sri Musa Aman was later taken to the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court where he claimed trial to 35 charges of graft. He pleaded not guilty before Judge Azura Alwi for the charges under Section 11, Subsection A of the Anti-Corruption Act 1997 for accepting gratifications by agent. It took 2 court interpreters to read the 35 charges which were allegedly committed between the 20th of December 2004 and the 6th of November 2008. The Sessions Court then granted Tan Sri Musa Aman bail at 2 million ringgit with 2 sureties. Judge Azura Alwi also ordered him to surrender both his civil and diplomatic passports. He was allowed to pay 1 million ringgit today and the remaining 1 million ringgit to be settled by Wednesday. Judge Azura also ordered the former Sabah Chief Minister to remain in the peninsula until the full amount is settled. Police have yet to take any statement from Swiss national Xavier Andre Justo, a former official of Petro Saudi International Limited, on matters relating to the 1MDB investigation. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Muhammad Fuzi Harun said Justo will, however, be called in if there is a need to do so. Tan Sri Muhammad Fuzi said statements will be taken based on reports and investigation.
Kita tidak ada ambil apa-apa kenyataan daripada beliau dalam masa terdekat ini. Satu, kita nak ambil kenyataan, kita mestilah berdasarkan laporan yang dibuat. Kecuali kita akan tengok daripada laporan lama yang kita telah jalankan siasatan. Tapi kalau ada perkara baru, kita akan pertimbangkan.
Tan Sri Muhammad Fuzi said this after he was asked to comment on Justo's involvement in the 1MDB case. Tan Sri Muhammad Fuzi had earlier attended the 3rd National Heroes Service Medal Award ceremony at the Johor Police Contingent headquarters in Johor today. The Kuala Lumpur High Court today granted senior lawyer Tan Sri Shafi'i Abdullah's application for the temporary release of his passport for the purpose of obtaining work permit in Sabah. Now, Tan Sri Shafi'i made the request following his appointment to handle a case at the Tawau High Court. Judge Colin Lawrence Sequeira granted the application for the temporary release of Tan Sri Shafi'i's passport effective today until the 17th of January 2019. According to Tan Sri Shafi'i's attorney, Wan Aizuddin Wan Muhammad, his client needed his passport to handle a client's criminal case at Tawau High Court. On the 13th of September, Tan Sri Shafiee claimed trial to 4 charges under Section 4, Subsection 1, Subsection A of the Anti-Money Laundering and Anti-Terrorism Financing Act 2001. He was charged for allegedly receiving 2 separate payments totaling 9.5 million ringgit from former Prime Minister Dato Sri Najib Tun Razak between 2013 and 2014. Tan Sri Shafiee also faces 2 counts of violating the Income Tax Act 1967 for not including the income he received from Dato Sri Najib in his statements to the Inland Revenue Board. The Putrajaya Court of Appeal today dismissed an appeal by 16 former UMNO members against a High Court's refusal of their application to challenge the legality of the party. Now, Justice Dato Dr. Badaria Sahamid, chairing a 3-member bench, upheld the Kuala Lumpur High Court's ruling which denied the group's application for leave for judicial review after the panel found that there was no reason to interfere in the High Court's findings. The panel made the ruling after hearing submissions by lawyer Muhammad Hanif Khatri Abdullah, who represented the 16 appellants, and Senior Federal Counsel Shamsul Bol Hassan, acting for the Registrar of Societies or ROS, who was the respondent. On 27th of April 2018, the High Court dismissed the leave application for judicial review filed by the group after allowing the preliminary objection raised by ROS. In the application, they sought a certiorari order to quash ROS' decision, as announced through a media statement dated the 5th of March 2018, to grant UMNO an extension for its party elections until the 19th of April of 2019, which exceeded the maximum period. They had further sought a mandamus to compel ROS to provisionally dissolve UMNO and for ROS to suspend all UMNO activities pending disposal of the judicial review. They also wanted a declaration that UMNO was illegal effective the 20th of April this year. Meanwhile, the Putrajaya Federal Court will hear and decide on the issue whether the Prime Minister is a public officer or not. And this follows the decision of a 3-man bench to give the nod to Damansara Member of Parliament, Tony Pua Kiamwi, to appeal over his tort of misfeasance lawsuit against former Prime Minister Dato Sri Najib Tun Razak and the government. Now, Chief Justice Tan Sri Richard Malanjun, who chaired the bench, granted leave for appeal to Pua and allowed 2 legal questions framed by Pua's counsel for determination by the Federal Court. The other question of law involves the definition of public officer, whether its definition should be confined to what is stated in the Interpretation Act of 1948 and the Federal Constitution. The other judges on the bench were Chief Justice and Judge of Malaya, Tan Sri Zahara Ibrahim, and Federal Court Judge, Dato Alizatul Khair Osman Khairuddin. Pua was represented by lawyers Dato Mali Imtiaz Sarwa, Tan Cheng Leong, and Surendra Ananth. Senior Federal Counsel Alice Lok Yi Ching appeared for the government. The Pulau Pinang Sessions Court today sentenced a Ukrainian woman to life imprisonment after she was found guilty of trafficking cocaine 3 years ago. Judicial Commissioner Dato Abdul Wahab Muhammad handed down the sentence to the accused, Lepakina Klaviadia, 24, who broke down in tears upon hearing the sentence. Abdul Wahab in his judgment said the accused had plenty of time to check on the 2 plastic bags she brought from Dubai to Kuala Lumpur and then to Penang. Lupakina was seen covering her eyes and did not take the chance to check inside the bags, which she claimed contained chocolates. Late last year, the accused was released by the High Court. However, the prosecution team appealed at the Court of Appeal, from which the court ordered the accused to enter her defense. According to the charges, Lupakina, who was 1 month pregnant at the time of arrest, was charged with trafficking 1.5 kilograms of cocaine at the Pulau Pinang International Airport at 11 a.m. on the 31st of December of 2015. For the offence, Lupakina, who gave birth to a baby girl while in prison, was charged under Section 39, subsection B of the Dangerous Drugs Act of 1952, which carries a death sentence upon conviction. The owner of a hardware company in Kluang Johor has been charged with an attempt to bribe a Kluang Municipal Council enforcement officer. Goh Lian Chuan, 58, however, pleaded not guilty when the charge was read to him before Judge Jailani Abdul Rahman today. Goh allegedly committed the offence on the 4th of October at about 10:30 a.m. at Klang Municipal Council Enforcement and Safety Department office to avoid 2 compounds issued to him.